Okay, first of all, wrapping up the Northern Illinois game. In a lot of ways I feel it was a replay of Western Michigan. I thought, if you go back and watch the game, it really was a much more competitive game than the final score indicates. It's 24-14 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And right before that, we had a big third down stop, and we had a chance with the football to make it a 3-point game, and we didn't capitalize. And then at that point, they hit a big wheel route down the sidelines, and then things kind of broke open from there. And again, even in the first half, just again disappointing. They're an excellent offense. The best offense in the MAC. That is probably the best offense that we've seen in the conference in the last 3 years. But in their 24 points in the first half, I really feel like we almost handed them 21 of them. Their first touchdown is just a guy running right by a safety that has him. His eyes are in the wrong spot. And then, the second touchdown was a result of really a personal foul. We stopped him on a 4th and 1, and would have had the ball back. And we have a young guy dive in there, and then really it's a stupid penalty, but that gives them 7 more points. And then it's 3rd and 8 at midfield, and we have everybody covered, and we have a chance to get him on the ground, and we miss 3 tackles, and he scrambles down to the 10-yard line, and that's their 21 points. So again, good teams don't do that. Good teams don't let a guy run by them. Good teams and smart football teams don't commit a personal foul when they stop somebody 4th and 1. But that really allowed them to score 24 points in the first half. And one of our goals was not let them off to a fast start. And I think a lot of that we did to ourselves as much as they did to us. And then in the second half, we just gave up some big plays. The wheel route and the double move down the sideline, and the final score is 45-14. It doesn't look like a competitive game. Certainly from the other side of the football, very disappointed that we weren't able to generate more offense. I think our offensive line is much improved from a year ago, but in this game we clearly took a step back. We didn't run the ball as consistently as we needed to. We were not very good in pass protection, even though we only gave up 1 sack. Matt Shills got hit 15 times when we were trying to throw the ball. So I thought Matt really did a great job of avoiding sacks, getting rid of it, not turning the football over. And he took some shots and again showed a lot of courage by hanging in the pocket. And sometimes you look at the film and you see lanes that maybe he could have scrambled, but they did a great job with their pass rush lanes. And Matt took a lot of shots and did a good job avoiding sacks and taking negative yardage plays. So, we got to find ways on offense to score more points. It's really been a couple of weeks here that our offense needs to be more productive in terms of scoring points than we are. And, it's not going to get any easier with playing Ohio next week. I don't know if there's been a more consistent program in the conference over the last 3 years than Ohio. I think Coach Solich, probably does as good a job as anybody in the conference. They're very consistent. They're very well coached. He was given time to build a program, and right now I think they're as solid as anybody in the conference on both sides of the football. Their offense is in the top 2 or 3. Their defense is in the top 2 or 3. They're a veteran group, and they're really well coached. And it's going to be a great challenge for our guys once again next Wednesday.
You mentioned the penalties. There were several more at inopportune times. Do you think that they can be a detriment, but did that really deter you guys from, I know one play you definitely had a first down, you had to go back. There were several plays like that in the game.
Yeah, if you look at the, if you look at the stats, we're one of the least penalized teams in the conference and in the country. I think we were 2nd or 3rd in the conference going into the game in terms of being less penalized. Sometimes you get a crew that calls things a little bit tighter. I think the crew called it tighter, but we also gave them opportunities to make calls. We had the one delay game we took on purpose, to give ourselves more room to punt the football, and that worked out well. We pinned them inside the 10. But we had we had 3 holdings, 2 on offense, 1 on special teams. We had the personal foul. We had the block in the back on the kickoff return. And some of those plays, I think, really hurt us in terms of field position. Certainly the 2 calls on kickoff returns, the one put us, I think, inside the 10 again. And the other one was a great kickoff return by Boo Boo that backed us up and took away good field position. So there were definitely some costly penalties. On defense, the one I recall is the 1 pass interference. Again, I think for the most part this year we've been a pretty disciplined football team. We haven't had a lot of stupid penalties. But the one that was the killer was the personal foul on the 4th and 1. And that was just what you'd call a young and dumb play. I mean, I don't, our guy wasn't trying to be cheap. He wasn't trying to cheap shot the guy. It was a quarterback sneak, and they were trying to push the pile, and he launched, and he shouldn't launch. He should just try to push the pile himself. But, it wasn't a late hit. They called it a head-to-head contact, and it was a good call. I mean, he hit the guy in the helmet.
You mentioned returns, and Boo Boo was back on punt instead of Cooper. Could you just talk about the change there?
Well, the game before, we feel we have 2 good punt returners in Boo Boo and Coop, and the game before, for whatever reason, Cooper struggled with it. We had the one that hit him on the knee that gave Kent the ball inside the 10, and there was another one I thought he should have fielded that he didn't. And you hate to say it, but sometimes when a guy has trouble misjudging the ball and he has a bad play like that, you worry about his confidence level back there. And if there's one thing Boo Boo never lacks for, it's confidence. And Boo Boo's very natural with the return game. So we had another option, and Boo Boo's been doing a good job in practice catching punts. And Coop was, in practice last week, he dropped 1 or 2 in practice. And when I saw that, I just said, we need to make a switch.
Coach, you just talked what this team's playing for at this point of the season, kind of how you move past this tough stretch.
Well, I mean, we're still playing to try to be bowl eligible. That goal is still out there. You only get to play 12 games a year, and we have 2 of them left. And as much as that is coach speak, it is true. Our guys invest all year in the 12 opportunities, and certainly the chance to be on TV again and to play a rival like Ohio. But we just need to win the next game to start playing better. I mean, that feeling in the locker room after you win, there's nothing like it. And I know our guys want that feeling again. But again, there's a lot of things that can happen, and from a national landscape, who's to say? Maybe 6 can get you in. And we at least want to give ourselves a chance and try to get the 6, and you can't get the 6 unless you get the 5.
And did you look at the MAC standings? Obviously, your division's all jumbled up still. Are you thinking of that at all?
Not really. I think we just need to worry about getting better and trying to win the next game. And people, about controlling your own destiny and all that. I think right now at this point, we have 4 losses. It'd be a very difficult scenario to see us get to Detroit. We have no control over it, and Ohio's a very good football team. So, we don't like the way Tuesday turned out, and the only way to do something about that is work hard in the practice field and prepare and get ready to play against a very good Ohio team.
Coach, could you talk a bit more about Ohio's offense?
Yeah, they're very good as well. I mean, again, I say this every week, but it's another veteran group. I mean, you got a bunch of 5th-year seniors in there, and they broke in a new quarterback this year, Tettleton, and he's very athletic, and he's another guy that can make plays with his feet and with his arm. But certainly the collection of receivers they have. I mean, Brazil, it seems like he's been there forever, and they have 2 good tailbacks, and it really, you look at every offense, and I've been doing this, 23 years now. If you have a good offensive line, you can be a good offense. I don't care if you run the ball, throw the ball, run option, run the spread, run a traditional offense. if you're good and you're physical up front, there's a lot of offensive schemes that work. When you're not good and you're not physical up front, there's not a lot of good things you can do. And the better offenses in our league, like Northern, like Toledo, like Western, like Ohio, they have very veteran, very experienced, and very physical offensive lines. And that allows them to do whatever they want to do. They have time to throw it, they have push off the ball to run it. And you know, I think in this league, almost everybody has good skilled players. Kemp had good skilled players, we have good skilled players. You know, just the more I look at good offenses and good teams, you know, to me it's that group up front. When you have a good offensive line, that's a bunch of guys that are physical and knock people off the ball and play together, a lot of good things usually happen.
With only 2 games in the season, Dave, is this a time where you start looking at potential changes to prepare for next year?
No, I don't. I always think the next year takes care of itself. You know, it's a disservice to the seniors to do anything other than try to win the next game. And, you know, we won't talk about next year. We refuse to talk about next year. You know, there's still a lot of football left. And again, we you know, maybe it's a pipe dream, but, you know, we're going to do everything we can to try to get the 6, and who knows what happens. You know, it's happened before in the MAC. I think a couple of years ago, Northern at 6-6 got to a bowl, and you know, there's a lot of opportunities out there. So, you know, that's still our goal. Is we'd love, you know, we need to get the 5 first, but you know, we still have a goal of getting the 6 and seeing what happens.
With the struggles that you had, and I mean struggles relatively on offense, I guess it's more red zone and things like that. Do you look at position changing or, you know, making changes in your lineup?
No, I mean, you know, we're playing the best guys we have. And again, I think we took a step back on the offensive line. And really, John, and you know this, right now the only position on our team that we don't have any depth is the offensive line. You know, the other day we had a safety give up a big play early in the game, and we just put another guy in for him. And Aaron Foster went in there and really played well. Maybe played his best game of the year as a safety. And is part of that because of the competition? Yeah. You know, if Von McCoy goes down, you put you know, Daryl Hunter in there, and Daryl Hunter plays well. You know, at linebacker, if you know Swanee doesn't make a play, you can put DJ in, and if DJ, you got Swanee. So you have that internal competition. I mean, Alex Bear is over there right now, and you know, he knows in his position, if he doesn't show up every day and bring it, we have another option. Tyler Beck and Kendall Montgomery are good players. We still don't have depth on the O-line, and we've got to get those guys to practice better. We've got to get those guys to play better in games. Again, they've made, I think, a lot of progress from a year ago, but last week was clearly a step back. That was probably the worst that we've played all year up front on offense. That, without question, was our poorest effort. And but there's nobody else, you know, and that you know, we need to develop the depth at that position, so there's more competition there. And I believe we'll have it, you know, we will have that in the spring, and we'll have it next year, but we don't have it right now.
What is it when you looked at that performance that leads you to say that it was taking a step back?
Well, we were very soft in pass protection. We got beat just on a lot of one-on-one moves. Guys that haven't got beat this year were getting beat. And again, you got to give credit to Northern, because Northern played well against us, and their guys won those one-on-ones. But you know, as an offensive lineman, if you're a guard and you have a 3 technique on you, you got to block the 3 technique. If you're a tackle, you have to block the end. You know, if they run a twist, you got to be able to pick up the twist. And we let more guys get on our edges and get in our backfield. You know, when your quarterback can't even set his feet and throw on a 3-step drop, that's a major problem. And you know, I had our offensive coaches go through the film and just count every time Matt Shills got hit and got knocked to the ground, and it was on half his throws. You know, and a lot of those throws that if he had had a half a second, I mean, we had guys open. You know, the perimeter design of things, we had guys open, but part of defending the pass is getting a good pass rush, and Northern got a good pass rush. And again, credit to them, but we have to protect a lot better than we did. We did not give our passing game a chance to function. And again, I thought Matt played with a lot of courage, because in the first half, I mean, he really got knocked around. And whenever that happens, you always worry in the second half they're going to get quick feet and move around and not set his feet. And you know, great example, right before the half, before he hit Kamar in the dig, and then he hit the glance route for the touchdown. The play before that, I mean, he got nailed. And the very next throw, he stepped into it and threw a 20-yard strike to Kamar, and that led to our second touchdown. So again, we need to get better up front. And, you know, we challenge those guys, and you know, and I like those guys. I mean, I think Jordan Russos and Don McFlone and Ben Boychuk and Chip Robinson and Kyle Bryant have made a big step for us. But it's still, we're still not at an elite level there. We're not one of the top 3 or 4 offensive lines in the conference, you know, like the teams that are able to score 30, 40, 50 points any given night.
Being a head coach in the profession and everything, what's it like with college football not having Joe Paterno anymore?
Oh, I was scared you were going to ask me that. You know, it's just, it's different. I mean, he's, you know, when I was a kid growing up, I lived in Western PA for about 6, 7 years, and that was back in the, when were you born, Howard?
1980.
1980, okay, this was in the 70s. So just in the early to mid 70s, and you know, to me, my dad graduated from the University of Pittsburgh, so we were Pitt fans. So we weren't exactly big Penn State or Joe Paterno fans, but he certainly was an iconic symbol of Penn State football, and really of Eastern football. And you know, I think, you know, people always had great respect in the profession for the way that he graduated his players, the way that Penn State played the game, and you know, certainly it's very tragic on many different levels. You know, what's going on right now.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, just to flip the subject, you're playing another national TV game. Do the players treat those games differently? I mean, I'm sure they say they don't, but do you notice anything differently in those games?
Yeah, I think there's juice. I mean, you know, the reality is, and we've talked about this before, you know, what do our players love? They love it when those stands are packed. Okay, that when we're in the tunnel and we're coming out, and all those stands over there are filled with our students and filled with our fans, that's the best feeling. You know, before the Toledo game, even before the Morgan game, that we had great crowds. When you play weeknight games, you sacrifice that, you know, and not just at Bowling Green. I've talked to the other coaches in the conference, and you know, when you play Tuesday and Wednesday night games at 8 o'clock, your fans from Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati and Detroit, you know, it's harder to get them here, you know, but they certainly know who's out there watching. And to be on national television, you know, it definitely gives them some juice. You know, would they rather have 24,000 people up there? Yeah. But I think they know that there's a bigger market out there watching them from across the, you know, across the country. So I think they enjoy it.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.